in the capital and also sparking massive evacuation effort that also, needless to say, stoked a political controversy. Now, the Yamuna swelled to a staggering 208 meters this morning, inundating nearby streets as well as public and private infrastructure, causing immense hardship to people who are residing close to the river. In fact, large chunks of Delhi, be it the Monastery Market, the Majnu Katila area in North Delhi, Mayur Vihar Phase 1, Geeta Colony in East Delhi, and multiple patches on the Ring Road near Kashmiri Gate in Old Delhi were all inundated. It remains unclear just how big a swathi of the city this new benchmark could really submerge. However, thankfully, there are reports now emerging that there would be no further rise in the Yamuna water levels. But the bigger concern is draining out the water from the already inundated areas. Now, the Lieutenant Governor of Delhi, Vinay Kumar Saxena, held a DDMA meeting attended by the Delhi Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal today, and it has also been decided that all the government and private schools in the national capital will be closed in areas where the water level is rising for at least 3 days now.
One could get right now to this very river, which is actually flowing way above the danger mark.
Big vehicles which were parked here are now submerged in water. These are the visuals from civil lines area.
ये रिंग रोड जहाँ हम खड़े हैं पीठ तक पानी है और जो अगर हम बीच में जाएंगे तो ये पानी का स्तर और बढ़ जाएगा।
पहली बार दिल्ली में यमुना इस स्तर पे पहुंची है। इस लेवल की पानी पहुंचेगा ये कभी सोचा नहीं था।
Let's now give you an actual sense of what exactly are the Delhiites braving. We'll give you a minute-by-minute update and also an area-wise breakup on what are things looking like in the national capital, starting with the Red Fort. In fact, this is the Sarai Kale Khan area. These are serpentine queues of vehicles. During office hours, you can see how the vehicles from here to wherever the eye can see, that's how bad the traffic snarls really were reported out of this entire Sarai Kale Khan area. If we go further and take a look at the next slide, we will get to understand what has happened to the Bhairo Marg. This is not a river, this is a road. This is a carriageway that's now closed. In fact, this is the railway underpass that has been completely inundated. Going further, if we go ahead and look at the other area, the Yamuna Bazaar area, situation looks very similar. A river-like situation overflowing. That is what the state of affairs is in Yamuna Bazaar. The NDRF teams, as you can see over there, are undertaking the evacuation operations that continue even as we speak. Going further, if we go ahead and take a look at the Kashmiri Gate area, this is what it looks like. The Yamuna water has spilled into the roads here and submerged them completely. Now, going further, we also are given to understand that the civil lines area, remember one of the posh localities in the national capital, very, very close to the ISBT or the bus terminal, that stands submerged. You can see the man there almost swimming as if it's a deep end of the river. People are wading through chest deep water. That's how bad the situation is looking like. In fact, going further into civil lines itself, these are waters that have entered the shops, cars have drowned, houses have been submerged. All of this is civil lines. Remember, this is also the arterial road that connects further towards other areas which are closer to the national capital, and it's used by buses at thoroughfare to go further out of the national capital. Now, reporters have also been getting us constant ground reports from the affected areas. Let's first break down all of that and take a look at those very reports.
This is the example of how urban development fails in the national capital. This is absolutely worrisome. This is absolutely sad state of affairs which are unfolding here in the national capital. And this is not just some water which has gathered at one spot. This is the river water. You can see just looking at me how the pressure of water is very high over here, and in fact this water level, the water level over here at this very space has been increasing consistently, because when we reached this very spot early in the morning, this area was almost clear. As per the latest update, till now the water level somewhere stands at 20.66 meters, which is a very worrisome sign, because now the water levels are actually inching towards the 209 meters level. If that happens, then the conditions will deteriorate further, and in fact people in the national capital will suffer more.
इस समय हम नोएडा के डूब क्षेत्र में मौजूद हैं और आप तस्वीरें देखेंगे, चारों तरफ पानी ही भरा हुआ है। जिस तरीके से 45 वर्ष बाद तमाम रिकॉर्ड टूटे हैं और यमुना का जलस्तर बढ़ा है, उसके बाद से ये स्थिति देखने को मिल रही कि नोएडा में पहली बार डूब क्षेत्र में इस कदर पानी भर गया है कि लोगों को रेस्क्यू करना पड़ रहा है। आपको बता दें, इस समय वाटर बोट में मौजूद है और लोगों को रेस्क्यू करने का काम किया जा रहा है। हमारे साथ डीसीपी हैं नोएडा जोन 1 के हरिश्चंद्र, उनसे सीधे बातचीत करते हैं। सर, खुद रेस्क्यू आप क्लोजली मॉनिटर कर रहे हैं, क्या स्थिति है अभी, क्योंकि जलभराव जो है वो ज्यादा हो गया है?
ये कल शाम से बल्कि जो है वो हम लोगों ने काफ़ी गौवंश को रेस्क्यू किया था। पानी जो है वो बढ़ रहा था, उसके बाद रात में थोड़ा पानी बढ़ा है और अर्ली मॉर्निंग में जो है आज सुबह से NDRF की टीम लगी हुई है। लगभग 20 से ज़्यादा लोगों को अब तक रेस्क्यू कर लिया है, जो डिफरेंट फार्म हाउसेज और जो कच्चे घर हैं वहाँ पर रह रहे थे, और अभी फिर से जो है वो टीम निकली हुई है। सभी लोगों को रेस्क्यू किया जा रहा है, क्योंकि ये बिल्कुल यमुना जी के बगल वाला एरिया है और यहाँ पे लगभग 30-40 साल से कभी इस तरह का चीज़ नहीं देखी गई है, तो इस वजह से पानी थोड़ा बढ़ रहा है, बट हम लोग लगे हुए हैं, रेस्क्यू कर रहे हैं सब।
Let me now take this across to all my colleagues who are reporting live from the various areas that have been massively impacted and are reeling under this deluge. My colleague Anshul is reporting live from the Delhi Secretariat, Akash reports from Yamuna Bazaar, and Nikhil is live with us from the ITO. Akash, let me begin with you. It is the Yamuna Bazaar area. We'd seen how NDRF teams were earlier trying to go ahead with the rescue and evacuation process. What is the situation over there? Because we can see there are children who are playing around you. Section 144, what really happened to that?
So yes, Griha, whenever we talk about the low-lying area, so Yamuna Bazaar is one of the prominent, in fact the key low-lying area of the national capital. This is SP Mukherjee Marg. This is one of the important road whenever we talk about Chandni Chowk area and Red Fort area. And I'm trying to show you the visuals. I'll ask VJ Pramod Saklani to first of all show you those visuals where in fact these children are playing, and not just these children are playing, but there are some individuals who are trying to swim and are enjoying the particular condition. But this condition is, in fact, this is not limited to just enjoyment, because it has basically created a number of problems for all those who are living in these areas. So water has entered into the houses of those individuals who are living in these areas. Many of them have permanent structures. Whenever we talk about low-lying areas, Griha, so, I just want to highlight this very fact that, back in 2021 and 2022, there was a drive by MCD saying that all those who are living in O-zone and all those who are living in river belt should leave the particular place, because as per the instructions and as per the orders by several courts, you're not allowed to make permanent structures in those areas.
Yes.
However, in current condition, in fact, we have several areas where we have not just temporary structures but permanent structures, and these areas are basically facing these conditions where water is entering into the houses. Yes, several, in fact thousands of people have been evacuated, but most of them are not willing to go to other places because they are living in those houses for years. They have got all their belongings. Now coming to the situation, so Griha, water level at this point in time is 208.6, and in fact is steady as far as officers are concerned. They are telling us that water level is steady, and also prediction is that now water level will go down, in fact, from tomorrow onwards. But this will not, this will not solve our problem, because you see, this is the drainage water, and this drainage water will take at least weeks of practice, to clean and wash the area. It will come with a number of diseases, that in fact MCD is fearing. It will come with a number of other challenges, because we know about the aquatic animals, how a snake, and in fact, there was a buzz that in fact crocodile was seen. However, we have no confirmation about it. But yes, definitely, several snakes were spotted in this particular water, and it is quite worrisome. In fact, at this point in time, even when we have a prediction like such that, water level will go down from tomorrow onwards. This is the kind of condition. In fact, this is water level till my knees, and there we have 4 to 5 feet of water. There we have a number of people standing, and, most of them are enjoying. But yes, it is problematic for many as well.
Absolutely. Akash, you talk about aquatic animals and also crocodile and snakes. I believe you should be staying away from the water as much as possible. For the sake of the live, I think it's also important to stay safe. So I request you to do that. Let me bring in now Nikhil on the broadcast, who's reporting live from ITO. Nikhil, this is one of the notorious places as far as traffic snarls are concerned in the national capital. Even a slight shower and there is a beeline of traffic that's seen in ITO, which is one of the major junctions when it is about the national capital. People go to Noida from here. Even if they are going to Gurgaon, this is one place that they cross in order to go to India Gate. What is the situation there currently?
That this is one of the prominent places, especially for the traffic juncture. And if you go by the details, today after the DDMA meeting, the Delhi Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal, he has come up with a couple of advisories and warnings for the residents of the national capital. And what we do know is that many of the school, colleges and universities, they have already been asked to shut down, and the offices as well, if they are not necessary, they have been asked to remain shut. And at the same time, work from home culture has been asked to encourage among all the workers who have been working across the part of the national capital. And this is the situation which could have done yesterday evening, because we started getting all the visuals, we started getting all the details yesterday only, that the water level is gradually moving towards the side of the ITO. So the advisory should have issued by yesterday evening. But nevertheless, today the efforts were seen from the side of the Delhi government, although not much of the option is available with them. So as of now, we are reporting correctly from this particular place. You can see that this is the place which is completely filled with water. There were some of the notorious people as well who have just passed by, and the water has also touched us. But this is also one such place where the people are facing the difficulty. And not just this particular part. If we talk about the overall detail, on my right-hand side, there is this Indira Gandhi National Stadium, and which is nearby to the ITO, which is the prominent juncture for the transportation of the overall commutation. And there's this particular road which leads towards the side of the
Right, seem to have lost that link with Nikhil, but while he was showing us around, we could also see Kavariyas who are going about the Kavod Yatra. That is also an important aspect that the Delhi administration needs to deal with. That Yatra is currently underway, and there needs to be a clear passage that needs to be given to the Kavariyas as they head to Haridwar. Let me bring Anshul now on the broadcast, who's reporting very close to ITO at the Delhi Secretariat. Anshul, is there an inundation that's been reported at the Secretariat, the seat of power in the national capital?
Well, the situation out here at the Secretariat still remains the same. In fact, very, very dramatic visuals that have come to the fore just a few hours ago. I'll just try and move out of the frame and show you that the bus that we were reporting about approximately 2 hours ago, that bus is still stranded over there. When we came here, the water was about 2 feet, and now it has increased to somewhere around 5 feet is what we are being told, and the water level is increasing by the minute as we speak, whereas no preparations have been made by the Delhi administration to make sure that this water is taken out from here anytime soon. Now the roads have been closed by the Delhi police so that not any more buses or vehicles are allowed to enter into this entire area. But yes, the situation that has developed over here is definitely very, very worrisome, and also tells about the kind of planning that the Delhi government had, because remember, this is not something that has happened out of the blue. We knew that this was going to happen since yesterday itself, and the DDMA meeting that happened today, that could easily have happened yesterday, and students were not might not have reached their schools. So people would not have stuck in traffic for at least 2 to 3 hours. In the morning, we saw the kind of situations that had developed across the northern districts of the national capital, and the same is happening right now as well. Now everything is now dependent upon the drainage systems of the national capital, if at all the drainage systems are capable of making sure that this water is removed from here, because the Delhi government seems like have given up on any plans on making sure that this water is removed from here. In fact, the water level that had increased in Yamuna, that water is still spilling out onto the roads. There are no pumps that have been deployed on the ground. There are no workers of the Delhi government or the Delhi administration that can be seen on the ground trying to make sure that the situation gets back to normal. Now this water that has collected over here is slowly getting dirtier and dirtier by every passing minute, and hence it is going to become a breeding ground for all the vector-borne diseases that we are going to see come up in the monsoon season out here in the national capital. Things like dengue, chikungunya and other mosquitoes might also breed over here. But yes, the Delhi government has still not taken any responsibility or any action regarding the kind of situation that has developed right outside the Delhi Secretariat. Now, situation like this happening right outside the Delhi Secretariat, approximately 5 to 7 kilometers away from the Delhi CM's residence, and approximately 10 kilometers away from the Prime Minister's house probably. So this is the kind of situation that has developed over here right before the G20 summit that is going to happen in the national capital. And if at all rain lashed the national capital during the G20 summit, then we are going to welcome our guests with like the Venice-like streets out here in the national capital. And this is definitely going to bring a lot of embarrassment, not only for the people of Delhi, but also for our entire country.
Absolutely. And on a lighter note, Anshul, we would need gondolas for them to actually go ahead and commute. And, this is very, very shocking what you are showing us. And I'd like to tell my viewers, this is a usual thoroughfare for me because I want to avoid the traffic at ITO. So I usually take the Delhi Secretariat. But right now, it's impossible to actually skirt through these roads. And I believe that entire work from home idea that the Chief Minister has floated is because they themselves are not able to go to their offices and they would be forced to work from home because the draining that amount of water is going to take weeks, I believe. Let me go back to Akash, who continues to be with us from Yamuna Bazaar. Akash, the point that you and both Anshul had also raised about the diseases that this particular water that is, inundated these areas are going to result in. We are also looking at cholera-like cases that the Delhi administration needs to brave. What happens to the people that were, in fact, being decided to be evacuated from these low-lying areas? What happens to those evacuation plans now?
So, one important thing, I had a word with several officers of East District Administration, and these officers were pointing out that even when, water will find its way, they'll not allow people to go back to their areas for quite some time because it will need to, they have to wash that area, they have to clean that area. And this responsibility lies with MCD. MCD deals with all these things, sanitation part, and, MCD is the ultimate body that is responsible for, containing these diseases, in fact, this particular fear. And we are learning that all DBC workers have been instructed in this regard that, from tomorrow onwards, we'll be seeing a downfall into the particular trend. In fact, this water level will go down, and after that, we are expecting that the restoration process, in fact, the cleaning part will be taken forward, and in fact, it will take at least 6 to 7 days after the water will be removed. So it is quite a challenging time for not just people but for the administration as well, for all those who are working with MCD, for all those who are working with the Delhi government, civil administration, and also civil defense workers, because from last 2-3 days we are seeing that be it the evacuation process, be it the rescue work, civil defense workers are very much there on ground helping people and helping those who are in need. Once again, Griha, I'll try to show you the visuals. This is SP Mukherjee Marg. SP Mukherjee Marg is when you come from Daryaganj, and when you cross the Red Fort area, then you meet at a juncture at a Chauraha, which is SP Mukherjee Marg, and this particular road connects you to the ring road. You can go to ITO, you can go to Rajghat from this particular place, and this is one of the most prominent areas as far as this Red Fort area and this Chandni Chowk area is concerned. It sees a number of vehicles and a good amount of traffic, in fact, on a daily basis. However, today the situation is like such. There you see the boy is walking in that water. In fact, many of them are enjoying in fact, are swimming in this particular water. You know, till morning, we had several sort of people coming forward and, you know, complaining about the particular water and saying that they were not informed, in fact, and they were, you know, not informed about the kind of condition that Delhi government is expecting. Also, you know, it is important to mention that even when Arvind Kejriwal, you know, yesterday mentioned that we are fully prepared, the fact is that government or any agency doesn't have any solution for this particular water. They say that we don't have a capacity like such where we can, you know, hold this particular water. What is the solution then? People are asking what is the solution. What about those claims where you talk about, you know, world-class infrastructure, where you talk about a number of other things? We can understand that there are certain sort of limitations, but then people ask the very question that when it is about the accountability, when it is about the responsibility, so Delhi government says that it's the central government. Central government says it's the Delhi government. Earlier they used to transfer the responsibility to MCD, but now in fact in MCD they are working, you know, so people doesn't have any answer for that, and this is the reason why, in fact, till morning they were angry, but now since they are learning about the decreasing level, so they are, you know, expecting that by tomorrow, you know, things will get better, and, you know, they'll be having some good time then.
Akash, you know, you're the only person where we see people in the frame. Is it possible for you to actually talk to a couple of people who are standing next to you to just understand what is going on in their minds? Because right now the picnic can only last for a few more minutes. After that, they will start to worry what is going to happen to their houses. How will they sleep at night considering the water levels have gone up to this level?
राइट क्या नाम है भाई साहब का?
सूरज नाम है मेरा।
सोई जी कहाँ रहते हैं? यहीं रहते हैं?
यहीं रहता हूँ।
तो कैसे पानी घर भर में आ गया है?
हाँ, तो यहाँ तो घर घर में पानी आ चुका है।
आपके घर में आ गया?
नहीं, मेरे घर में नहीं आया, मेरा घर तो उधर की तरफ पीछे है।
अच्छा,
यहाँ पे कुछ नहीं।
तो यहाँ आपके दोस्त मित्र और रिश्तेदार रहते होंगे?
नहीं, कुछ भी नहीं रहते हैं, मंदिर आते रहते हैं, मंदिर का बहुत बुरा हाल है।
अच्छा, पानी आ तो गया है, अब इसे डील कैसे करेंगे यहाँ के लोग और आप भी आसपास के लोग?
ये तो केजरीवाल की देखो, केजरीवाल क्या करता है क्या नहीं करता, उसके अब हम कुछ कह नहीं सकते। केजरीवाल खुद ही चोर एक नंबर का, कुछ नहीं हो सकता।
नहीं, तो इसमें केजरीवाल की क्या गलती है? यमुना का स्तर तो नहीं बढ़ाया उन्होंने।
अब ये तो जमुना का पानी के कहीं भी आ सकता है, इसमें तो कहने वाली बात ही नहीं है।
हाँ।
कुछ भी हो सकता है, अभी यहाँ पे उससे आगे जाने का आगे भी आ सकता है, ऐसा कुछ नहीं है।
सबसे ज्यादा परेशानी किस चीज को लेकर हो रही है? हम तो देख रहे हैं कि दिल्ली में ट्रैफिक की समस्या बहुत ज्यादा है। यहाँ के आसपास के लोगों की जब बात करें, सबसे ज्यादा समस्या क्या है?
समस्या यही है, जो दूर के जाने वाले उनको सबसे ज्यादा परेशानी है। मार्केट का कुछ कह नहीं सकते क्या होगा क्या नहीं है। अभी यहाँ तक पानी आएगा, पीछे लोग कह रहे हैं कि पीछे से पानी छोड़ दी गया है, हो सकता है रात तक पानी और आगे चले जाए। तो ये जो आगे जो रास्ता है वो थोड़ा ऊंचाई पे हो सकता है, नहीं भी है और आ भी सकता है, कुछ भरोसा नहीं।
क्या उम्मीद है, कब तक राहत मिलेगी इससे?
कुछ कह नहीं सकते सर।
फिर भी कोई उम्मीद तो होगी कि 2-3 दिन में ठीक हो जाएगा, 4 दिन में ठीक हो जाएगा?
2 दिन में भी हो सकता है, 3 दिन में भी हो सकता है, 1 दिन में भी हो जाए, कुछ कह नहीं सकते।
अच्छा, ऑल राइट। सो यू नो, पीपल आर एक्चुअली not very hopeful, Griha.
Right.
They are in fact worried about the situation because they are saying that even when the predictions are there that water level will go down, you know, water can come to the areas. There are many areas, in fact, the houses that are at the you know, upper areas in the safer places. So they are you know, assuming that water may you know, come to their places as well.
All right, thank you so much for that, Akash. Let me now go back to Anshul, who is continuing to be with us from outside the Delhi Secretariat. Anshul, Akash was talking about the solutions. Right now, nothing seems to be visible in you know, at hand. What do you think is the responsibility of the Delhi government that has been brought to fore as far as the DDMA meeting that's been chaired by the LG, which had the Chief Minister in attendance, the kind of outcomes that have in fact been listed through the process of the press release as minutes of the meeting? How much of that do you think is practically possible to drain out this water?
Well, whatever happened in the DDMA meeting and whatever, whatever solutions came out, those are all very temporary solutions, but because situations like these can happen each and every year as well. You cannot predict the amount of rain that could come out. And once the Yamuna gets flooded, this is the kind of situation that develops all across the national capital. So this is something that needs to be taken care of on war footing. Over the last few years, we had heard the to and fro between the central government and the Arvind Kejriwal government, and how the MCD was not working in tandem with them, and how MCD was responsible for such situations that happened in the national capital year in and year out. Now, since MCD is also in their favor, the Delhi government has definitely given up on all hopes. In fact, Minister Atishi herself came out and said that there is nothing that human can do to prevent or to make sure that situation like these does not arise. And that actually tells a story about the mindset that the Delhi government is working with at this point in time. And that is the reason why we are seeing no operations whatsoever that is being done at this point in time to flush out this water to any place else, so that roads could be open, and the traffic snarls that we are seeing across districts in the national capital, that could be brought to the books, or a solution could be found to that. So till this point, the government, be it the central government, be it the Arvind Kejriwal Delhi government, or be it the MCD, they still haven't been able to figure out a way ahead and how to tackle this menace that has happened out here in the national capital itself. And all they are doing is just political blame game and photo ops that we are seeing of ministers going into flooded areas and taking a stock of the situation. But yes, all these photo ops are just what we are seeing, whereas the people and the public who are affected by these floods are forced to live in miserable conditions where nothing is being done by the government, and the water level is increasing by every passing minute across the north districts of the national capital. For example, out here where I'm standing at Delhi Secretariat, at approximately 2 p.m. was the time when this bus was struck over here. The water level was approximately around 2 feet. Now the water level has reached at the highest point at approximately 5 feet. In fact, the water level is increasing by every passing minute. In fact, I have to step ahead after every 2 to 3 minutes to save myself from this dirty water that has now collected over here, which could be a breeding ground for many reptiles and insects, and what all kind of diseases this could bring. So yes, over the next 3 to 4 days, we can expect the drains of the national capital to take this water away. But if at all there is rains on the higher mountains, and the Hatnikund Dam is opened yet again, we could yet again expect Delhi to be flooded like this in the same manner, whereas the government will still run from pillar to post and do photo ops just to give this message that they stand with the people. But yes, the locals of the national capital are the people who are still affected by this, and they still have nowhere to go as the politics around this entire situation out here in the national capital continues.
Absolutely. Situation looking very grim. Akash, Anshul and Nikhil, thank you so much for joining us on the broadcast. But we have more ground reports that our colleagues have filed from various other places in the national capital. Let's also take a look at those now.
दिल्ली में जो स्थिति है अब वो बेहद खराब होती जा रही है। जो मुख्य सड़कें हैं यमुना के आसपास वो बंद हो रही हैं, उसकी बानगी हम आपको लगातार दिखा रहे हैं। ये रिंग रोड जहां हम मौजूद हैं, हमारी तस्वीर देखकर आप समझ सकते हैं यहाँ जहाँ हम खड़े हैं पीठ तक पानी है, और जो अगर हम बीच में जाएंगे तो ये पानी का स्तर और बढ़ जाएगा। और मैं आपको ये तस्वीर लगातार दिखा रहा हूँ कि किस तरीके से जो पानी यहाँ पर आ रहा है। विपिन पुजारी जी ज़रा थोड़ा आगे आइए और यहाँ दिखाने की कोशिश कीजिए कि यहाँ पर क्या स्थिति हो गई है। जो पानी का स्तर है, देखिए जो रिंग रोड पर ये जो लेन है, दरअसल ये लेन जब आप ITO से आते हैं और आप जाते हैं पुरानी दिल्ली रेलवे स्टेशन की तरफ, यहाँ पर स्थिति देख लीजिए क्या स्थिति बनी हुई है। और यहाँ कुछ लोग हैं जो यहाँ हम देख रहे हैं सुबह से ही यहाँ नहा रहे हैं, इसको एक तरह से एंजॉय कर रहे हैं। भाई साहब यहाँ पर क्या कर रहे हो? अब हम सुबह से देख रहे हैं, आप जा ही नहीं रहे हो यहाँ से।
भाई साहब पानी का देखो, हाँ अपना सामान साइड कर गए।
सामान आपका सड़क पर सामान?
हाँ हम परिवार सोचते अपना सामान बचाते थे।
ऐसा इससे पहले कब देखा था?
अपनी लाइफ का निकल गया, पहली दफा देखा है।
ऐसी सिचुएशन देखी है, लगातार ये पानी बढ़ रहा है। मैं आपको तस्वीर दिखाऊंगा। अब यहाँ पर पानी देख लीजिए जो इस तरफ है, ये कितना ज़्यादा पानी है और इसका बहाव ऐसा है कि लग रहा है कि यमुना जो है वो यहाँ पर आ गई है।
Now you can see that after a very long time there is this particular tractor which is now approaching towards this particular place, although we have been given to understand that there are surrounded places which have not been allowed by the Delhi police. There is barricading on two sides of the road, so it has become inaccessible. There is water all around, but this is the something picture which is coming in. This is what we can say, that these people are braving this particular situation in the national capital Delhi, and we are going to try to talk to them. There are so many people. अरे भैया रुक जाइए, इतना मेहनत करके आप आ रहे हैं, हिम्मत कैसे हो रही है इतना आने की? डर नहीं लगा आपको?
अब 1000 आदमी बच जाए तो बढ़िया है, हम तो अपने लिए।
तो आप कहाँ से आ रहे हैं? पीछे से?
हम आ रहे हैं वहाँ से, हनुमान मंदिर से।
हनुमान मंदिर जी। और जा कहाँ को रहे हैं आप? अब
जा रहे हैं चंद्रवाल को।
अच्छा।
कट्टे भरेंगे मट्टी में, उनको ला के पानी का रोक करेंगे। अच्छा। और 3-4 दिन से ऐसे ही लग रहा है जी।
कहीं रास्ते में आपको लगा कि पुलिस आपको रोक रही है या कोई दिक्कतें आ रही?
पुलिस तो रोका था, मगर हमने कह दिया कि ये काम के लिए जा रहे हैं। अच्छा। कट्टे भर के फांद लगाएंगे उसमें और पानी रोकने के लिए।
अच्छा, तो आप रिलीफ के काम में, मतलब मदद करने के उसमें ही जुटे हुए हैं? अच्छा, आप सारे लोग जुटे हुए हैं? अच्छा, तो आप पूरा इन सबको मैनेज कर रहे हैं?
हाँ, कोशिश मैं ही कर रहा हूँ।
All these people have been deployed in the relief work itself. They have informed us about the overall situation.
देश की राजधानी में दिल्ली में इस वक्त मैं मौजूद हूँ और दिल्ली के भी बेहद पॉश इलाके में इस वक्त मैं मौजूद हूँ। इस पानी को देखकर आप ऐसा मत सोच लीजिएगा कि कहीं दूर दराज के किसी गांव से जाकर के बाढ़ की तस्वीर मैं आपको दिखा रही हूँ। ये लाल किले की पिछली दीवार आपको मेरे पीछे दिखाई दे रही है। देश के अलग अलग हिस्सों से लोग यहीं पर घूमने के लिए, लाल किला देखने के लिए आते हैं। और इसके अलावा दिल्ली एनसीआर में भी अगर आप रहते होंगे तो इस जगह का रुख आपने कभी न कभी जरूर किया होगा, या लाल किला आप घूमने जरूर आए होंगे। लेकिन अभी स्थिति ये है कि कल तक बात हो रही थी दिल्ली डूब जाएगी, दिल्ली में बाढ़ आ जाएगी, दिल्ली के लोग परेशान हो जाएंगे, पर आप देख लीजिए कि दिल्ली लगभग डूब चुकी है। कुछ जो ऊपरी इलाके हैं वहां तक पानी अभी जरूर नहीं पहुंचा है, लेकिन स्थिति अगर यही रही और बारिश अगर इस पे हो गई, वो भी मूसलाधार बारिश, तो फिर दिल्ली का क्या हाल होगा, क्या हश्र होगा, समझना बहुत मुश्किल नहीं है। ये आगे को जो रास्ता आपको जाता हुआ दिखाई दे रहा है, एक तरफ अगर आप लेफ्ट को ले लेंगे तो आपको पुरानी दिल्ली रेलवे स्टेशन मिलेगा, आगे बोर्ड भी लगा आपको दिखाई दे जाएगा, और राइट की तरफ अगर आप मुड़ेंगे तो आईएसबीटी की तरफ रास्ता जा रहा है। ये सबसे व्यस्ततम इलाकों में से एक रास्ते पर इस वक्त मैं मौजूद हूं। और अमूमन जब आपने दिल्ली की बाढ़ देखी होगी तो जो बाहर का इलाका रहता है, या जो ईस्ट दिल्ली का इलाका रहता है, या जो थोड़ा गांव का इलाका रहता है, वो वजीराबाद वाला, या आपको पुराने लोहे के पुल की तरफ का जो गांव रहता है, वहां की तस्वीरें आज के पहले तक आपने दिल्ली की बाढ़ की देखी होगी। लेकिन ये जो रोड की तस्वीर मैं आपको दिखा रही हूँ, ये आप देखिए, कुछ लोग आगे से आपको आते हुए भी दिखाई दे जाएंगे। वो कितना जोखिम भरा हो सकता है आप खुद समझिए। एक गाड़ी आपको आगे, बस जो कि बड़ा व्हीकल जिसे कहा जाता है, वो भी आधा डूबा हुआ आपको दिखाई दे रहा है। With that, I have, in fact, we are slipping into a very, very short break here on Viewpoint. But on the other side, Prime Minister Narendra Modi leads the Naya Bharat power play in Paris. We decode that visit after this very short break.
Highlights how India is being keenly appreciated, and West and USA and entire world is trying to engage with India, cooperate with India, and have a good relationship with India because of the upcoming challenges that the world is facing, and India can provide a lot of solution in the supply chain domain, if we can say, in the IT service domain. Pharmaceutical is one of the area where world has seen recent pandemic, and how the world was short of essential medicine supply, and India was able to scale up its production capacity in a very short span of time. And India did supply a lot of vaccine and essential drugs to US, countries from USA to Caribbean island. So that's the kind of relationship that India has. That's the kind of strength that India had with the entire world. And this is where this political leadership of India comes, which is being appreciated, and the world leaders are trying to engage with India more often.
Right, Abhishek, please stay with us. Also, Aman, now can you throw some light on the significance of this visit of Prime Minister Modi to France?
Well, Anjali, if you see the departure statement, I would point out 2 points that PM has made. First point, he said, I'm going on an official visit at the invitation of my friend, Emmanuel Macron. So the usage of that term, speaks a lot on how the personal equation and the personal chemistry between both the leaders have been there. And also the PM in the department, this visit is particularly special as I will join President Macron for the French National Day on Bastille Day celebration. So that is also PM is looking forward to that. It will be the second time that an Indian Prime Minister will be the guest of honor at the Bastille Day celebration. 2009 it was Mr. Manmohan Singh, and now after 14 years it is Prime Minister Narendra Modi. Also, the term that the PM used in the departure statement is that our relationship is rooted in deep trust and commitment. So this is something that signifies the Indian-France strategic relationship, which marks 25 years this year. So the countries want to take it forward. In fact, the PM says that he wants to work together on regional as well as global issues with the president of France. We know the entire Ukraine war has in a way brought the global issues to center stage, and what stand India has taken on that. A very fine stand on both sides. And PM Modi famous statement that this is not the time for war. This has resonated across the world, and the Ukraine question could also come up for discussions during the Prime Minister visit and his meetings with Mr. Macron and the Prime Minister of France. That is something that the world is closely looking at. Even in the US, when the PM went, this question had come up. Also, I think the point that the Prime Minister has made, that he's looking at holding wide-ranging discussions, that he said this is a long-standing and a time-tested partnership. So this is based on trust. This is something that both the countries have worked on very, very closely. And now if these two defense deals are actually announced during the visit, I think it takes it to the next level. If you're getting more Rafales and more Scorpion submarines from France, and especially through the Atmanirbhar Bharat initiative, where France commits to co-production and co-design in India, I think that could be a major takeaway from this visit and from the conversations that Prime Minister Modi will have with the president. I think also the bipartisanship kind of the welcome which Prime Minister Modi will get in France. The interactions with the French leadership includes with the Prime Minister of France, the presidents of the Senate, the president of the National Assembly. This is similar to his US visit, when both the sides, the Republicans and the Democrats, had welcomed the PM and their leaders had met the Prime Minister. I think the similar thing we'll see in France. So also Prime Minister Narendra Modi, when he goes abroad, when he goes to US or when he goes to France, he's not just appealing to the ruling party in France. He's also meeting the political leaders from all sides. So this is something also which is unique about the Prime Minister's abroad visits, and we'll see that playing out in France as well. So majorly the visit, I think, is focused on providing a new impetus to the very, very time-tested and strong strategic partnership that India and France have. And we'll see this flowing during the visit through the deals and other agreements which are expected to be announced during the PM's France visit.
All right, Aman, now crossing over to Abhishek. Abhishek, this year's Bastille Day parade is very special for India, as well as the Indian contingent will also be part of the parade. Could you tell us more about it and about the Bastille Day parade too?
Of course, it will be a rare occasion when Indian tri-contingent will be part of that Bastille Day parade. It will be about 269 personnel from our armed forces will be parading with their French counterparts on that Bastille Day parade. There will be Rafales that will be flying with the contingent. We have also just had a visual where Indian ships have been berthed at birth dress, so they'll be having a participation in that National Day parade. So clearly, that these small contingent that India will be having, that reflects the kind of partnership that France generally wants to have with India. This is the strategic partnership that the two countries have had, and the way India is looking forward to having a more robust relationship with France in the next 25 years. And this is something that Prime Minister Modi is also going to discuss, that how India-France strategic partnership should fare in the next 25 years is something that is very much important because when we talk about strategic partnership and the kind of technology and the kind of area of collaboration, it has to be a very long vision approach, because take example of this civil nuclear deal that France and India had in 2008. Since then, France has been supplying India with a lot of design, operational elements, technology, boiler, fuel. France happens to be one of the largest supplier of enriched uranium to India, and the overall capacity that India has, about 7,000 megawatt that India is currently having. The nuclear capacity, India needs a lot of enriched uranium, and in the wake of sanctions that India has invited from a lot of countries, it was very difficult to have those fuel supply continuously going on, because once the nuclear reactors are shut to regenerate our.
Welcome back. This is Viewpoint. You're watching it with me, Griha. Now, after the historic visit to the United States of America, Prime Minister Narendra Modi is currently in Paris on a 2-day visit. Prime Minister Modi will be attending the Bastille Day parade as the guest of honor at the invitation of the French President Emmanuel Macron. In fact, a tri-service Indian Armed Forces contingent will also participate in the Bastille Day celebrations. Prime Minister Modi will be holding bilateral talks with the President. More importantly, several defense deals are likely to be inked in Paris. The French president will also be hosting a state banquet as well as a private dinner at the iconic Louvre Museum in the honor of Prime Minister Narendra Modi. The Indian Prime Minister is also scheduled to meet his French counterpart and the presidents of the Senate and the National Assembly during his visit. Interactions with the Indian diaspora and meeting CEOs of both Indian and French companies also form a part of Prime Minister Modi's itinerary. Now, before leaving for France, Prime Minister Modi also gave a rare interview to a French newspaper where he spoke about India's quote-unquote gaining its rightful position in the world, the pillars of India's soft power, and India as the natural leader of the global south, along with the country's vision for 2047.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi has just touched down on his visit to France. Behind me, in a very special gesture, the Prime Minister of France, Madam Elisabeth Borne, has come personally to the airport to receive the Prime Minister.
I'm so proud to be an Indian. It's been 40 years that I've been working for the culture and academics in France. Thank you, Modi ji. Thank you. Proud Bharat. Very proud to be Bharatiya.
I was very excited. बहुत अच्छा लगा मोदी जी को इतने पास से देखने का.
Now, before I go to my guests on the broadcast this evening, joining me live this evening is my colleague Sanjay Suri, who is live with us from the Prime Minister's Hotel in Paris, the Hotel Plaza Athénée. Sanjay, first of all, take our viewers through what has been the kind of reception that the Prime Minister has received after landing. We've been told that the French Prime Minister herself was there to receive the Prime Minister at the airport, and after that there was, of course, a very, very important meeting with the diaspora, brief one. Although that celebratory gesture, when it is about the Prime Minister's reception, always really, happens to Prime Minister whenever he's meeting, whether we've seen something similar in the United States or before that in Australia, and now similar scenes in France.
Well, as we speak, the Prime Minister is due to leave the hotel from here any minute now, and he will be heading to a meeting with the head of the French Senate, Gerard Larcher, following which he will have a meeting with the Prime Minister, Elisabeth Borne, who was, as you were reporting, at the airport to receive him. So that was a little more than just minimal protocol, a very warm gesture and diplomatically a loaded one. Clearly a very strong and keen reception. We have a number of Indian members present here outside the hotel, bearing in mind that this is hardly representative of a level of enthusiasm, because numbers here are quite controlled and the attendance carefully vetted. Security is, of course, a prime concern, but this is just by way of a sampler, and we're going to have a very huge community event in Paris in a few hours from now, and that's when we really will see the turnout and the enthusiasm that produces.
All right, Sanjay, thank you so much for all the inputs there. We'll, of course, keep coming back to you as and when we get that notice about Prime Minister Narendra Modi's movement to go ahead for that state banquet that has been specially prepared for him at the iconic Louvre Museum. Meanwhile, let me actually bring in my guest now on the broadcast. Major General Sanjay Maistan, who's a defense expert, is joining us on the broadcast. Also joining me is Munira Faisal Abbas, who's an analyst and Borah community member. Now, let me begin with Major General Sanjay Maistan. First of all, my colleague Sanjay, your namesake, was talking about the kind of warmth that the French administration has in fact lent to Prime Minister Narendra Modi. His France counterpart, Ms. Borne, was there at the airport to receive him personally. What does one make of that warm gesture?
Yeah, definitely, Greha. One can make out of the warm gesture that Prime Minister Modi is a very respected leader and he has a global standing. In fact, he is the #1 global player today, or a leader. So that is the importance he has. And obviously, they have, France has also seen what kind of super honor was bestowed on our Prime Minister during his visit to United States recently. It was a proper state visit organized by the President of United States. And coming on to the international standing of India, today we are the leaders of the global south. We are a bridge between the global north and between the global south. We are a partner, we are a country today, we are heard by everyone. India is the only unique country in the entire globe which everyone would like to talk to. There are countries who are isolated. Look at authoritarian rule of China. No one wants to do any trade, etc. with them. Today, everyone, in every manner, whether it is culture, trade, economics, defense, India is #1, and therefore everyone in the globe is planning to do everything with India, including, the Arab world, the African world, everywhere. Today, we have such a great standing in the entire globe. So India's importance has increased. Today, India, in this multilateralism world, we are yet maintaining a strategic autonomy.
Yes.
So keeping all this in mind, I think the gesture which the French government has given by the Prime Minister receiving our Prime Minister, and today there's a private dinner being hosted by President Macron. Tomorrow there is a state banquet, and all the bilateral and other meetings would be done with the Prime Minister. And tomorrow he will be attending the Bastille parade as the chief guest, which is a great honor. And not only that, the Indian Armed Forces, from the Indian Army, the Air Force and Navy, we are going to participate along with the Army band. So this is a rare honor, and 3 Rafale aircraft, which will be piloted by Indian Air Force pilots. I think that's a unique honor. So this shows that India today is a global player, and the political leadership and our Indian diaspora also has a tremendous role. And not only that, the entire various, I would say, national power of a country, whether it is defense, whether it is economy, everything, culture, soft power, everything is making an impact on the world. And today, whole world respects India. And I think that is why we are getting the kind of applause everywhere. And I think France is a country which is always taking a lead role in the UNSC, that India needs to be immediately inducted into the UNSC as a permanent member. And I think to sum it up, it is the political will, the political leadership, entire Indian effort, and the youth of India, the IT power,
absolutely,
the technical mind of our youth. Everyone is getting attracted to India, and therefore everyone wants to do everything with India, co-jointly in terms of co-production, co-designing, co-development, transfer of technology.
Mr. Maistan, Major General Maistan, what you've also touched upon is the crucial Rafale M deals. Let me actually take this opportunity to welcome Mr. G. Parthasarathy, who's a former diplomat, also on the broadcast. And Mr. Parthasarathy, I'd like you to in fact throw light on how did this deal come about and how important is this one for India?
Well, let me just say that I have been at least with 2 past prime ministers on visits to France, and I have never quite seen the sort of reception which has now been accorded to Mr. Modi in this visit. So I think the fact of the matter is that in terms of importance attached to India, in terms of what France looks forward to, and in terms of what they're prepared to do to us, for us, I think there is a substantive movement forward. And the Prime Minister's visit, the very fact that he has a personal rapport with President Macron has added to this. Now, coming to the substance of this visit, the fact of the matter is we look forward to working very closely with France in the coming G50 meeting, which we are hosting in Delhi. It's a G50 summit. But as I said, I've seen past visits in France, participated in them. This is unique. The way President Macron is personally reaching out to an Indian Prime Minister. I find this really unique. But having said that, I think we should also concentrate on substance instead of appearances and mere protocol. The fact of the matter is that France has been a reliable supplier of weapons. I recall when I was in the army in '65, we were using French AMX tanks in the Cham sector. Therefore, thereafter, in a diplomatic context, when it comes to supply of weapons, France has been way ahead in terms of technology, spares, and so on. Secondly, the fact of the matter is that the rapport has gone beyond that. In political terms, France was one of the countries in the West when the Americans and Chinese were opposed to us, which backed us to the hilt during the '71 conflict. And that sort of a relationship with India has now been taken to a new level. Because, as I said, now we are talking of, yes, fighter jets. We've been receiving fighter jets from the Mistiers in the 1950s from France, but they're giving us their best. And they're giving the fighter jets to us, not just for aerial combat, but also for taking off from our aircraft carrier. I think this is the best aircraft carrier we can get. And this has been new. And the sort of relationship which President Macron has established with Prime Minister Modi is something I haven't seen in the past between the leaders of the two countries.
Okay. What we are going to do, Mr. G. Parthasarathi, what we are going to do is also talk further about the defense deal. But let me now take this opportunity to bring in Munira into this discussion, because there is a huge outreach that the Prime Minister is going to be making in France with the Borah Muslim community, and that also becomes an important and underlined aspect of this visit. Munira, how do you see that happening, considering there's a huge Muslim population as far as France is concerned, but especially meeting with the Borah community stakeholders? How do you see this move?
It's a very proud moment. It's a very proud moment for all the Indian origins here, and especially for the Dawoodi Bohra community living here in France. All of us are here today to welcome wholeheartedly our dear Prime Minister. As we all know, there is a very warm relationship that the community shares with our Prime Minister. And we want to show here in France as well, the community is one community with equal support and love to him. In fact, I'm also here not just as a patriotic Indian, not just as a loyal resident of France, a country which is so warm and beautiful, but also as a member of Dawoodi Bohra community. And we look forward to seeing him soon. In fact, I've just arrived at the venue last and we look forward to seeing him and welcoming him and passing the message from our community.
Okay.
Overall, it's a great moment. It's a proud moment. And as always, as all over the world, globally, we are there to show our warm and support. And likewise, we are here in France. It's nonetheless. Okay. So it's a great moment.
All right.
And
what's better going back to the defense question, Munira, I'll come back to you. Thank you so much for that answer. I'll come back to you about the outreach by the Prime Minister as far as the community goes. But Mr. Parthasarathi, talking about these procurements, you were throwing light and underlining how important this is for India and also the India-France collaboration as far as Project 75 is concerned. But given the Atmanirbharta push that India is banking upon, why was there a need for these procurements?
Let's look at it this way, that Atmanirbharta is not achieved overnight. But certainly the aircraft industry, especially on the defense side, and the DRDO have now been really active in getting indigenous manufactured content on every defense deal. So what is important is that along with this deal, we also have other areas of cooperation. You know, France has helped us out when we needed it in nuclear cooperation. And therefore, the provision of not only the aircraft, but also the submarines is going to give the Indian Navy a serious and strong presence across the Indian Ocean. And that is where China is now coming in a big way. So I think the French have looked at India separately. They have not sort of linked us with Pakistan or anything. And right now, as I can see it, this personal rapport between the Prime Minister and President Macron is really helping the process, because I have not known of a prime ministerial visit abroad, and I've been on about 25 of them, where the Indian Prime Minister has been received with such grandeur and such respect for India.
Okay. Major General Maston, let me bring you in here, and just taking a cue from this very point that Mr. Parthasarathy is making, talking about the Dassault Aviation as compared to the US F-18 Super Hornet. How do you think France had an edge over US that this deal has been settled between India and France?
See, India has gone for a large number of different types of aircrafts. The reason being, every different aircraft has different advantages. That is the first and foremost thing which has to be understood. Because it's not only reliability on one type of aircraft, the maneuverability of an aircraft, the range, the kind of weapon system it carries, avionics, there are a large number of factors. So obviously, our strength today lies by diversification, and therefore we are having number of aircraft right from the Russian Sukhoi and Mirage and Jaguar and so many of different type of aircrafts, and the latest addition is of course the Rafale. And we must always keep in mind that it is the latest generation of equipment which we have to keep in mind, especially the aircraft. Now coming on to Rafale, it definitely has lots of advantages, and today the fact of the matter is that we are also inducting Rafale marine aircraft for the Indian Navy, which will be on board on the INS Vikrant. So what I'm trying to say is that keeping this aspect in mind, firstly, we achieve homogeneity, that two different arms of the Indian Army, Indian Defence Services are having the same aircraft, that is the Rafale M. Of course, there are some minor modifications because the landing gear kit has to be very, very hard because it's landing on a surface, moving surface. Number two, it has to have foldable wings because obviously more number of aircrafts can be stored once the wings are folded. So there are certain minor things, but basic template is that MRO facilities, maintenance, repair, organization, that would be advantage. And half of these things now we are going to see. You have read the question of Atmanirbhar Bharat. And this is exactly what Atmanirbhar Bharat is, that our concept is very clear. We have to be Atmanirbhar Bharat, but we have to have a base. And that base is we have to have joint collaboration, transfer of technology, expertise has to be there, MRO has to be there in place, logistics has to be there, assured logistics, all these things, and therefore that is leading to Atmanirbhar Bharat. And number of things like Coimbatore, we are manufacturing some of the Rafale parts. And avionics are being manufactured in India of number of aircraft, including of the American aircraft and MQ-9B.
Absolutely.
So what the essence is, that this itself is leading to self-reliance, because with so many countries we are having defense deals, we are doing joint collaboration, joint production, joint designing, and the latest critical emerging technology.
Mr. Parthasarathy, in fact, moving away from the defense question, because I'm short on time on the broadcast now, I'd like to understand, there was so much talk around the rare interview that Prime Minister Narendra Modi has given to La Echo's, as opposed to the more popular French newspaper that is La Monde, and there's so much talk around that. Why was that done? What are your views on it?
Look, this is a decision which the Prime Minister's office and the Prime Minister alone make. So when a program goes up to the Prime Minister, they in this, we look at how a station has in the past reflected India and has the view it has taken. And the basis of the decision making is a serious assessment that this is the station which will best represent the Indian point of view. A Prime Minister going abroad does not just rush into the most popular station.
Okay.
He looks into what is most utilitarian for India.
Absolutely.
And that is a consideration which his office and his media advisors give him.
All right.
And obviously there has been.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen, for joining me. As I said, I was short on the time on the broadcast. But with that, it's a wrap from my side on Viewpoint. Hope to see you again tomorrow.
Welcome everyone. Thanks a lot for staying with us. You're watching Plain Speak with me, Shivani Gupta. The streets are waterlogged, the roads are inundated, and hours-long traffic jams have brought life in the national capital to a standstill. Delhi is now on extreme flood alert, with thousands of people being displaced as the Yamuna River surpasses a 45-year record level. Meanwhile, politics has erupted over the deluge. Delhi Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal has criticized Haryana government for releasing water from the Hathni Kund bridge, which is leading to the swelling levels of the Yamuna in the Delhi capital region, calling for the intervention of the union government. The Haryana irrigation minister has refuted these charges by the Delhi CM, dismissing them as baseless and lacking factual basis.